For you live, the only place to see it, Sky Sports 2 tomorrow evening, 9 o'clock, the 2004 men's final. The last time these two played, the quarterfinals of Wimbledon, and it was some encounter, so we should have quite a treat tomorrow night for you from 9 on Sky Sports 2. It was fun while it lasted for Tim Henman, but ultimately he came up in the best player in the business. Not a lot, Sam Smith, that Henman could do out there today.
No, not really. I mean, it is a shame, and we all wanted so much from it. I have to say that the tennis on planet Federer is pretty good, isn't it? And Tim really tried to get something going. You could see what he was trying to plan out there, but when you're playing against that kind of genius, it's almost impossible to do anything, really.
Barry, in some ways, is Henman really just not good enough at this level? Sixth semi-final loss, or is that not a fair question?
Not a fair question. I don't think anyone would have been good enough tonight, including Hewitt. And we saw how well Hewitt played against Johansson. Such is Federer in big matches. He's got no mental scarring. Yet to lose a real big match. He's won his 3 Grand Slam, all finals he's been in. He won the Masters Cup last year. His Davis Cup record for Switzerland is unbelievable. So with that, he never doubts himself. And even when he lost his serve at 5-2, he doesn't panic. And that is a mark of a true champion. The interesting thing will be is when he loses a big match, because he will. You can't keep winning match after match. How he responds from a loss. I would imagine it won't bother him at all. It will probably make him even hungrier and even better. Such is Federer's level of tennis over the past year. He's improving every big match that he plays.
Certainly Federer's second shot today was just exquisite. You just sat there and sometimes you gasped at what he was coming up with.
Well, that's exactly what Leighton Hewitt was talking about, how the big serve sets up the second shot here. But here, after the return as well, I mean, he gets it low to Henman's volley. I mean, Henman does well to dig it out. Against anyone else, probably Henman would have had a knock-off volley at the net, and instead he's looking behind him. And very much the same here, Henman with a very difficult volley. And most players would have gone down the line there. But a lot of people don't talk about how strong Federer is. I mean, he is a bull on court. He's got incredibly strong legs and a strong trunk and really strong wrists, and uses it a lot to change direction, have the disguise, and that makes life very difficult for serve volleyers.
Henman knew coming into the semi-final that if he was to have any chance of victory, he would have to come in and take some risk. If he was to stay at the back, Federer would pick him off, and that happened pretty much right the way through. As soon as Tim just stayed on the baseline, Federer's backcourt game took over. Yeah,
it's why we're talking Federer as a possible completing the Grand Slam. Can win on all surfaces, and once Federer gets into this backhand corner and starts to dominate with that forehand, I don't think there's any player better on the men's tour. He works you a couple of times to the backhand and then that beautiful inside-out forehand down the line. It really is the effortless power, and he's able to accelerate because of the incredible racket head speed on that forehand side, and with that he's able to put the ball anywhere on the tennis court.
Federer, before the match, said if Tim stays at the back, I'll pick him off. I know what he has to do. He's going to come at me. That was Henman's tactic right from the start. At times it worked, but then at times he just got picked off.
Yeah, I mean, Tim very much sort of, came forward on all the right balls. You can't really criticise him, once again there, Tim just having to pick up the scraps. And can you just imagine the pressure that you're under out there? Because, nothing is a given. You always have to play one more ball, and as I said, I even think Tim executed his tactics pretty well. That's extremely deep against most other guys. You're going to get a relatively easy knock-off volley, or at least be in charge of the point. But you can't really legislate for that kind of tennis, really.
Federer, as he is, always finds this to solve the problem. Henman, early on, Federer looking to go cross-court on every single pass. So on set point, Henman comes in on a great approach, anticipating the cross-court again. Federer comes up with the answers. He's so adept at being able to execute in his mind very quickly in difficult situations.
He's a genius, I think, is the best way to describe Roger Federer. A total genius. Whatever he touches, brilliant.
Well, the great thing about Federer is that, he does so many things well, but not only does he do them well, he puts them all together in sort of perfect synergy, and that's why people are talking about, or great players are talking about him being the greatest player of all time, and he has such variety, such instinctive play. I mean, the superlatives are just endless. And the problem with Federer is there aren't any patterns to his play. I mean, on that particular lob he hit there, he could have probably hit 6 or 7 other shots equally effectively, and that's what I talked about, him choosing his weapons. It's like, oh, okay, I'll just take that one today, and he knows he can make it. And he just oozes confidence. You can see in his walk and in his demeanour, even when he was walking into the courts today at Flushing Meadow, he walks like a champion. He's got that Pete Sampras aura. You know, how Pete had the walk of a champion, he has exactly the same thing.
I'm sure there are people at home sitting right now saying, typical Henman, gets to a semi-final, can't go any further, 6th time he's lost, he chokes, hasn't got the bottle. What do you two say to that for the people that are out there just thinking that right now?
Well, in the 6 semi-finals he's lost to Pete Sampras twice at Wimbledon, arguably the greatest player ever to play on a grass court. Guillermo Correa this year, the French Open. We know all about Correa on a clay court. Roger Federer here today. Roger Federer arguably, maybe, is going to eclipse Pete Sampras in 14 Grand Slams. It's open to debate, but the way he's playing. A couple of the others were his real big chance. That Ivanisevic match was the one you really felt that was the year. Sort of when Sampras was on the decline. Okay, Sampras won the US Open a couple of years ago, but he wasn't. Those couple of years he was on the decline, and that was the sort of the gap of 2 years where Henman really needed to take advantage, and unfortunately he didn't. I believe if Henman now, in 2004, had been in the situation with Ivanisevic, he would have won that match.
Sam?
Well, I'm not sure any situation that Henman had been in before would have prepared him for the sort of player of Roger Federer. I mean, when you think about how many great tennis players started off this draw and how well Henman has come through it, I mean, how many British guys have made the semis of the US Open? It's not an achievement to be sniffed
Just
at.
Greg Rudetsky in the open era
Exactly.
in '97.
And Greg played extraordinarily well that year. You know, it's something quite remarkable, something quite special. And I always think Henman's career, however long it's going to be, I think it will be appreciated, his achievement, sort of a few years after he'd stopped. And we'll look back and say, and we'll just show a few reruns of Henman, you know, going through the US Open. I think it'll be something, particularly for guys like Andy Murray, who's in the final of the juniors, he'll be so inspired by Henman making the semis of the US Open. He's setting the bar for all these guys coming up. So I think, as Petch said at the end there, you know, what he's done out there was no disgrace, and he's had a fantastic US Open.
Let's just touch on this final tomorrow from 9 o'clock, Hewitt versus Federer. They played in the quarterfinals of Wimbledon this year. For me, it was one of the best matches, if not the best match of this year's championships at Wimbledon. Hewitt does test Federer. He has a winning record against him, just like Henman did.
Yeah, but Federer won the last time. And I think we've seen in the past year, we go on about Federer's record in the past year, but once he's sort of turned that mental barrier around in his favour.
Won the last 3, in fact.
In his favour, he's awesome. And I was sort of thinking about it during Tim's match, you know, how could actually Hewitt hurt Federer? I don't think he can. I think Federer starts a clear favourite, but like Leighton Hewitt, like Tim Henman going into today's match, if Roger Federer has a bad day, and it's a big if, the way Federer's been in Grand Slam finals, Hewitt mentally will be strong enough to take advantage, but I just think at the moment...
Type of match, though, Sam, that Hewitt relishes. This is why he straps on his shoes in the morning, to play the best in the business. If you're asking somebody to play their best ever match, you probably pick Leighton Hewitt to do so.
Well, he's gradually been upping his level throughout this US Open, and he'll love Roger Federer coming at him, having a chance to pass him, having a chance to lob him. He'll enjoy the extra pace. He'll enjoy the whole challenge of trying to pick the Federer serve. And, you know, Hewitt won't go out there fearing losing or anything like that. He'll just go out there and kind of grasp the moment, grasp the challenge. He knows that Federer's going in as favourite, and he's just want to go out. He'll go out there all guns blazing. He thrives at Flushing Meadow. I think he will soak up that atmosphere. But I sort of think the only way anyone's going to beat Federer in the next 2 months is to put that white headband across his eyes. I think that's possibly the best chance.
And you know, going into tomorrow's match, Federer will be so selective of what he comes in on. I think he'll stay back more than possibly we saw him today against Henman. He'll use that first serve for placement. Try and not give Hewitt too many second serves, and then look to dominate with that forehand that he's got.
OK, thank you. Tim Henman out at the semi-final hurdle, straight sets defeat to Roger Federer. Let's hear from him now. He's been speaking with Lee Shiras.
Tim, a tough day for you. He seemed to have the answers to everything you threw at him.
Yeah, that's right. He was too good on the day. I think he's shown to most people this year that he's the best player in the world. And you know, I tried a whole lot of different things, and as you say, came up with the answers. And you know, all credit to him. He's had a phenomenal year, and I think it's going to probably get better tomorrow.
Little chance at the end there when you broke back. You seemed to suddenly come in and attack well. You kept your hopes alive.
Yeah, I was trying to, you know, you're just going to try and think you're going to keep fighting, but no, you know, finished off in style, and you know, it's been an unbelievable fortnight for me. I didn't know I was going to play and get through to another, you know, my first Slam semi-final in New York. It's been, you know, it's been a great fortnight, and there's lots to build from.
Well, lastly, what lays ahead for you in the coming months?
Yeah, it's busy. You know, we got Davis Cup pretty much straight away, and I need to, you know, get my body back 100% because it's a little bit sore right now. But you know, I'm looking forward to that. It's always a big priority of mine. And then there's, you know, the Masters Series come the end of the year in Madrid and Paris. And I'd like to think Houston, the Masters Cup. I think with the performance here, I'm in a pretty good position.
Tim, congratulations.
Thanks, Leafy.
Sam, what can Tim take away from these 2 weeks? He thinks there's plenty to build on. What would they be?
Well, I think just the way he's gone about his matches through sort of thick and thin, really. When things haven't been going quite well, he's trusted in his game. He's obviously got a very solid relationship with Paul Annacone. I think that's really bedded down now. I think he's served extremely well. He's played through, you know, difficult injury situations. He knows that his conditioning is great because he's come through so many long matches. So there's a whole kind of pot full of stuff that he can take from this. And if you can't, you know, be swelling with confidence after having made your first US Open semi-final, then I don't know what is going to give you confidence. And I think he's right. As soon as he can get his body 100%, you know, Tim's, one of his favourite surfaces is the indoor season, where I think he doesn't have the same problems about creating pace. He's a natural on indoor courts, and, you know, I think his next really big goal